Hello and thank you for joining us on Inside Lagos, reaching you from the Ido Market. Now, this place used to be a beehive of activities, but because of the stay-at-home order of the Lagos State government to curb the spread of the coronavirus pandemic in the state, this place is deserted like every other part of the state. Now, as the global community is racing to slow down and eventually halt the spread of COVID-19, a pandemic that has claimed thousands of lives and seeking tens of thousands of others in Africa, Lagos, a frontline economic hub on the continent, has continued to expand capacity in tackling and limiting the spread of the coronavirus pandemic in the state. Have a listen. From 11 p.m. on Monday, there shall be no inter- or intrastate movement. All commercial businesses will be closed. Movement within the city will be restricted. It is now compulsory for every citizen of Lagos to stay at home. It is no longer an advisory, it is now the law.
I am directing the cessation of all movements in Lagos and the FCT for an initial period of 14 days with effect from 11 p.m. on Monday, 30th March 2020. This restriction will also apply to Ogun State due to its close proximity to Lagos and the high traffic between the two states.
With this presidential directive, 24 million Lagosians have to stock up on basic necessities for 2 weeks. Fortunately for Lagos residents, it is not completely unexpected. The Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu during his last broadcast have warned residents it may come to this.
If you don't have a need to go out, please don't go out. That's rule number one. Rule number one is stay indoors. It's only if you're on essential service that you've been allowed to go out.
The Lagos State government has expressed fears that the state might record up to 39,000 cases of COVID-19 in the state. Commissioner for Health, Akin Abayomi, also expressed this fear while briefing journalists last Thursday. He said this may be the worst scenario. It could, however, be limited to 13,000 if everybody adheres to and practices the measures directed by the government, especially social distancing.
We have deployed our second strategy, which is that of social and physical distancing. What do we mean by that? We've sent out multiple educative videos and animations to show you that the idea is that we interrupt the opportunity for the virus to spread from one person to another.
Meanwhile, all essential services will still run, as earlier announced by the governor of Lagos State. Hospitals, pharmacies, foodstuff stores, telecoms operators, fire services stations, and media houses will remain open. The coronavirus pandemic has taken its effects on several economies around the world, and Lagos isn't left out. Many of those who complain about the stay-at-home directive lament that many of the residents would starve to death if they do not engage in daily job. The state government is not ignorant of this and has a plan to provide a cushion.
We realize that the consequences of the restrictive order will have on the very vulnerable sector of our economy. It is also a fact that we have people who, because of their daily means of livelihood, have been affected. And so we needed to have some stimulus package set out immediately. I visited one of our 20 identified food banks that we have established across the metropolis to cater for feeding of our people. We are by this intervention targeting those who earn daily wage to feed their families, those who are vulnerable, what we consider as the lower part of the triangle, the elderly and the physically challenged. They are the ones that we're looking at to see how we stamp out food bank for them.
The governor said at least 200,000 households in the first phase will benefit from the package that will provide food for a family of 6 that will last for at least 14 days.
For us to also be very fair and be transparent with this process, we're also looking at our existing database for Lagos Social Register of Poor and Vulnerable amongst us, which certainly cut across the 377 wards. So at the first instance, we're targeting a food bank for about 200,000 families, 200,000 households. An household will consist of a father, a mother, and 4 children. And so we're providing stable food such as rice, beans, garri, bread, pepper, water, in a full package to each and every of these households that we're identifying. I'm also happy to inform you that we have formally launched what we call a neighborhood market, which we have identified 50 large public school premises across the state that can accommodate temporary open markets where all essential food and household material, daily essential materials, will be available for sale at affordable prices. When I mean at cost prices. This neighborhood market will operate every 2 days, meaning that if they come to a particular location today, in 3 days' time, 2 days will be off, they will come back to that same location. And so we're targeting 50 of such neighborhood markets right around our massive big public schools. This we believe would help achieve a number of goals. We'll also reduce the incidence of people needing to travel across various locations to try and get into a market. So that's why we've set up these neighborhood markets to ease the commuting and the travel time for our communities. And I want to also reiterate again in very strong terms that let us refrain from gathering or congregating in any kind at this time. We have put in place palliative measures that will cushion the effect of the restriction. We would expect maximum compliance from you. That is the least, at least we will expect from all of us. I want to also say and reiterate that we're in this together. As Lagosians, I want to imagine that we will come out of it well, stronger and better. But I want to put on notice and acknowledge the support of the private sector that we're receiving so far. But I think it's important at this point that I also thank first the federal government of Nigeria under the able leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari for supporting the state government with a huge generous grant. We would also especially thank Mr. President for his leadership, role and support, and for recognizing Lagos as the epicenter of this pandemic in our country. And our pledge is that we will continue to work in cooperation with all of the federal government organs as a state under his able leadership. We will also want to thank members of the organized private sector who have been collaborating with us at all of the efforts we're seeing around the building of isolation centers, donations in cash and in kind. Some are giving us equipment, medical supplies. I will be acknowledging each and every one of them in due course.
Earlier, the Lagos State Commissioner for Health said the state may witness up to 39,000 cases of coronavirus. He believes that adherence to the social distancing advice of the state government would help check the spread of the pandemic.
The first index case came into contact with 179 persons. and we were able to follow up each and every one of them and identify the single one contact to whom he transmitted the virus. And we contained that contact as well. Eventually, both Index and his contact recovered, and the virus never had the opportunity to enter the community. In other words, our containment strategy ensured that that case was a dead-end situation. It was never given the opportunity to establish itself in Lagos State or Ogun State. That gives you an idea of how effective our contact tracing and our containment is. Had we delayed the situation of finding this patient, or not been strict with our containment strategies, then that passenger would have disseminated the virus to several hundreds of people, and there would have been an outbreak right from the outset. We did the same thing with all the new imported cases subsequently, and we're still doing that now, which gives you the difference between why we only have less than 40 active cases in Lagos State compared to other countries who are exhibiting over several thousands of cases because they've been slow in initiating the containment strategy. The reason why we've implemented social distancing is the incident commander is fully aware of the trajectory that is possible. And the only way to address that is to implement social distancing. And the graphs there show that indeed, if we carry on and the public are receptive and compliant, we will soon see that yes, we're expecting a few more cases, but the responsibility is with the community. If you're able to follow our instructions and distance yourself, you will prevent the opportunity of the virus from increasing its victims, because you don't give it the opportunity to spread from one person to another. While we carry out our contact tracing and isolation strategy of containment, it is the responsibility of the community to ensure that they follow very strictly the guidelines that the government and Mr. Governor is making available to you regularly.
The state government says the highest coronavirus cases were recorded in Etiosa and Ikeja local government areas of the state. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has signed the Infectious Diseases Regulation 2020 into law to give legal backing to the ongoing enforcement of restrictive measures being taken by the state government to contain the spread of the coronavirus. The regulation prescribes stringent penalties to defaulters of directives and guidelines issued by the government to stop community transmission of COVID-19. Governor Sanwo-Olu praised President Muhammadu Buhari for his leadership and support of the effort by Lagos State government to stop the epidemic. He said the release of 10 billion naira grants to the state was a recognition of Lagos as the epicenter of COVID-19 pandemic in the country. He also appreciated the contributions of members of the organized private sector that supported the state's effort by donating of cash, medical equipment, and building of isolation centers.
The Lagos government, through the Ministry of Agriculture, flagged off the emergency makeshift food and produce markets in selected school premises. During an inspection tour of some of the markets at Ikeja Primary School and Ojota Nursery and Primary School, Ogudu, it was noted that there are 25 of such neighborhood food markets across the states.
In the wake of the COVID-19, the Lagos State government has also started the economic stimulus in terms of emergency food response. Instead of you walking or taking a trip to my trip, because this is your Jota, you can come to this place, and instead of you to buy bulk of your produce, normal food items, you can just buy in bits
Many residents were already shopping at the makeshift markets to get produce and other daily needs such as beverages, vegetable, fish, poultry products, bread and others at competitive, affordable and farm-gate prices.
Yeah, it's a good one. Sanwo-Olu, our governor of Lagos, I give him kudos. He has been trying, working day in, day out. I really appreciate what he has been doing.
Farmers at the market believe that bringing it close to the people is another way of encouraging small-scale businesses.
It's a good one. It's a good one. One, people will come in, take advantage of the fresh vegetables that are around us and the products that are on display.
Most of our products are NAFDAC approved, so they are being produced in a very good hygienic condition.
Those patronizing the markets adhered to safety and precautionary measures of social distancing.
National leader of the All Progressives Congress has announced that he will be making a donation of 200 million naira to fight the coronavirus pandemic. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu tweeted that pursuant to the pledge, 100 million naira will be made available to the government of Lagos State and another 100 million naira to the NCDC to support their effort in fighting the scourge of COVID-19. He commended residents of Lagos for complying with the directives of the state governor in observing social distancing and other measures to curb the spread of COVID-19 in the state. He also appealed to Nigerians to stay strong and comply with the lockdown by the federal government for the good of the nation.
I'm happy that Nigerians, my friends, and particularly Lagos State, whose economic heartbeat of the country, is taking it very seriously and continue to maintain high level of proactive activities and commitment to the welfare of the populace.
The Dangote Foundation has donated 4 ambulances to the Lagos State government to help in the operations of health workers to combat the coronavirus pandemic in the state. The ambulances were presented at the Lagos House Marina with officials of the Lagos State Government, NCDC and Dangote Foundation in attendance. Lagos is the epicenter of the virus in Nigeria. The managing director of Dangote and the officials of the NCDC said the ambulances will be effectively used.
This is the private sector rallying together to support our government response towards fighting COVID. So these ambulances, which NCDC has agreed that we should donate to Lagos State, which needs them, which is the epicenter of the crisis for now, is really to help carry people back and forth from isolation centers to treatment centers, from their homes to hospitals, etc., as the need arises.
We are looking forward to see more collaboration from Dangote Foundation, and at the same time encourage other private partners to liaise with them, to work with them, and for them to achieve a worthwhile goal by supporting activities like this. The system they are building right now currently is a well-coordinated platform. Even in the response, what we are doing currently, we are using incident management system structure to respond to this outbreak.
Lagos State Government has taken delivery of a 110-bed isolation facility on the Lagos Island, where confirmed cases of the novel coronavirus in the state can be managed and treated. The facility was conceived and built in collaboration with the management of Guaranty Trust Bank. Managing Director of GT Bank, Mr. Segun Agbaje, personally handed over the hospital facility to Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu 5 days after the bank started the construction of the isolation center sited on the main bowl of the Mobolaji Olufunsho Johnson Stadium in Onikon. Governor Sanwo-Olu praised the management for the speed with which the structure was built. disclosing that the facility is equipped with world-class equipment and medical supplies that will aid the state government to deliver adequate care to those infected with COVID-19. The isolation facility, which sits on an expansive area in the stadium, is divided into 2 operational sections, including intensive care unit (ICU), regular bed wards, pharmacy department, doctor's quarters, and consulting rooms. The facility is also equipped with ventilators for the use of patients that may develop symptoms. The Lagos State Governor instituted a special intervention committee headed by the Commissioner for Home Affairs to disinfect the nooks and crannies of the state. Alausa witnessed the activation disinfecting project.
Every aspect of Lagos, and this is going to be a continuous exercise. We cannot disinfect once, so it's going to be continuous. And Mr. Governor has said that he will give us all his support. I want to thank Mr. Governor because a lot of people have been calling me. I'm like, oh, they are applauding what Mr. Governor, the initiative of Mr. Governor to curtail the spread of coronavirus.
Bus stops, markets, schools, churches, mosques, and other public places will be disinfected. Falomo Roundabouts was one of the locations.
One of the many efforts put together by Mr. Governor to stop the spread of coronavirus in the state. And the importance of this is to disinfect the entire state in order to stop the spread. We've, asked Lagosians to stay at home. And we can see the level of compliance. So it is now the responsibility of the government to now go out and disinfect the entire state.
This is happening simultaneously with other areas in the state. Some residents commend the governor for the development, but appeal for personal protection equipment to be made available to those who may not be able to afford them.
Be able to help us and give us who love it, to protect the disease.
In a health center, we cannot go there. As we are walking around the city, if there can be a joint, a meeting point that we can get all those things, it will be very okay for us.
The exercise would continue until every part of the state gets cleaned up.
As the world grapples with the increasing case of coronavirus, Lagos, which is the epicenter of the pandemic in Nigeria, is doing everything to ensure the 44 cases on its hands are discharged. To stop the numbers from increasing, the Lagos State government is now disinfecting communities in the state, which many say is a good idea. From street to street in Ikeja local government and Onibongo LCDA, officials of the Ministry of Local Government Affairs fumigated gates, houses and shops while the residents looked on. Some residents say this is the way to go for the Lagos State to combat the spread of the virus.
The virus is so scary, and for this right now, I'm sure people will think something is going on and something will be happening soon that nothing will happen to the community.
To prevent all the areas from further problem of this coronavirus. So it's a very good thing they are doing right now.
For it to be effective and for people to take more precautions, we need to educate people. The benefits of this disinfection and other things. Otherwise, people will not even know the value, what they are spending their money on. You know what I'm saying? We need more of the campaign. That's the truth. And to also help in taking precautions in future.
But residents say they want government to do more than this by providing palliatives as they obey the stay-at-home order.
I believe with better campaign and involving more of the staffs on the ground to sensitize people and let them know that this thing is being done not because of anybody but because of ourselves. Because if we are here today, we'll be here tomorrow to tell the story.
That's a package for today on Inside Lagos. Do join us next time for a fresh package. But remember, to reduce the spread of coronavirus, do wash your hands frequently, maintain social distancing, avoid touching your eyes, nose and mouth. If you have fever, cough or difficulty in breathing, seek medical help immediately. You can dial 08000 Corona. Besides, stay at home. I'm Adedoja. Salam Adeniyi. See you next time.